Welcome to Beneath the Surface, the space where real stories live and healing begins. I'm your host, Donovan Sykes, and here we dive deep into the layers of life, the trauma, the pain, the resilience, and the power that it takes to overcome. Whether you are healing, growing, or simply trying to make sense of it all, you're not alone. So let's go beneath the surface. And on today's episode entitled The Lesson That Moved In With Me. Now, this episode is going to be a tad bit different because what I wanted to do was sit face to face with myself and honestly answer questions out loud that I've had time to think about, experiences that I have grown so. And within this episode, I will be interviewing myself. And I broke it up into five different segments. And those segments are the quick connection, when it got dark, the moment of clarity, what it taught me, and my message to you all. So let's go beneath the surface. And now, disclaimer, this is not an attack on anyone's character. It's just that this time last year was an experience for me and it taught me something very valuable. And I want to share that with you. I am a guy who's a hopeless romantic. I'm truly a hopeless romantic. I love. And the way that I love, I think everybody loves that way. It's like, how could you not love that way? So I put myself in situations, or I did put myself in situations so often where I felt like I can love anyone through anything. So let me give you a little bit of backstory. A couple of years ago, maybe some odd years ago, I had started my pill sobriety, and I lived that story out loud. Everybody kind of knew what I was enduring at that time in my life. And I would get positive messages from all different variations of people from over the world. Love, support, just uplifting and all of that. And there was one person in particular who always used to hit me up via Twitter. They always used to hit me up, just checking on me, sending me love, seeing how I'm doing and all that. And at that time, it wasn't something that stood out. Like it wasn't like a factor of, oh, this person checking on me because so many people was doing it. But when I think I got over that milestone, I started to pay attention because then this person resurfaced and we started to talk. We exchanged phone numbers, we started to talk. I instantly liked this person. Some of it came from just me being at that point in my life and just always being a person who was just trying to check on me with concern. So that part of me kind of like gravitated to that. And so we started talking, got acquainted, me being the leader that I am, me loving love the way that I do, it's easy for me to fall in love. I think me and this individual were talking maybe a couple of months and he moved in. And when I say moved in, it's like, how does someone who you barely know, how do you allow them to move to a whole nother state to live with you? And then you're going to figure out each other in the midst of it all. How is that possible? That's what happens when you're desperate for love, when you're so eager to nest, when you desire companionship so bad. Those are the type of decisions that you make. And in this first one, as I explained, how did we meet? It was from Twitter. Um, and these are the questions that I asked myself. And yes, I've answered all these questions, but I want to share with you the answer to these questions when you have time to reflect on the decisions that you made in life that could have been detrimental to self. Did I feel like I knew him, or did I feel like it was right in the moment? That's self explanatory. You knew I didn't know him. So it was only because it felt right. Everything about it felt right. I'm in a new chapter in my life, and I'm doing good. I ain't on pills no more. This is somebody who has been checking on me when I was going through my worst. Be mindful of that, because people are going to utilize that thing that they see as your weakness against you to build you up. They're going to utilize that. That's their way in. Be mindful of that. But I didn't know this individual. So everything about the field was just right. And it was red flags that were shown early on, but I didn't catch it until after all of this was over. We're going to double back on the flags that presented themselves immediately. This is why you got to be keen to the people that you are encountering and paying attention to every single thing that they have going on. Everything. When they're talking and you're having phone conversations, you listen to understand what's going on in their own personal life. Those signs were there. And then looking back, I had to ask myself, what made me move so fast? Was it loneliness? Was it chemistry? Or was it the fact that I just wanted to believe in somebody? That I wanted to believe that it was other people out there that desired what I desired when it pertained to love. Was it that? Was I searching for another me? And was I believing that another me was even possible? That's what it was. It was simply me believing that there are people out in the world that are like me, is what led me to that situation. My next question I had asked myself, did anyone question my decision or warn me about it? I can't say that that would be true, because I never told anyone about what I was doing. That's also a self flag reflection, a self red flag reflection of yourself. It ain't about putting people in your business, but my stomach was growling. I hope y'all didn't hear that. I was trying to shift shape, shift shape around so y'all didn't hear it. I'm sorry, side note, because when I eat, uh, I'll be sleeping. This video wouldn't be made, so I couldn't eat. But when it is time for me to eat, I'm about to go to the grocery store and get me some blue crabs, and I'm gonna fry them. Yeah. So I just hope you didn't hear my stomach. Back to what I was saying, I kind of lost track. What I was talking about. Um, oh, about someone's questioning my decision. I didn't tell anybody. And a lot of times it don't be about you not wanting people in your business. It be about the judgment in which you know you're going to get if you're speaking to the right person. See, because the right people around you are going to tell you, you foolish. You don't know this person. The fuck you let move into your house. You're foolish. But when we feel something that we want to feel, we don't tell nobody that, because we know that that's going to allow them to alter the decision in which we feel like we want for ourselves. So nobody knew. Nobody influenced me, because I didn't tell not a soul. Y'all hear my stomach? I'm so sorry. I do eat. I eat well, but nonetheless, my next question was, what were the first few days like when he moved in? Now, let me go back just a tad bit to the process of him moving in. We talked, we were just on the phone. I want him to come down. I was even going to pay for him to ship his clothes. We were looking at estimates on uh, car shipping companies to get his car here. Remember that. getting your car here, getting all your clothes here. Remember those two factors. We was looking at all of that. It's like, okay, we'll do that after the fact. When you come here and get stable, we'll get all that handled. So he gets here. He has a minimal amount of clothes, but enough. Move in, glorious. Before he got here, he was aligned with a job. He had a job. Unfortunately, he didn't have his car here, and the job was way on the north side. If you're in Houston, and if you know anything about Houston, I hate driving to the north side. I'm not from the north side, but anything 45, the traffic is just absurd. Like I hate driving that. I don't care what time of day it is. I just don't like driving to this side of town. And that's where his job was. So he moved here. He had a job. He started maybe a couple of days after, and everything is fine. Everything is fine. He just being connected with me, he was able to garner some revenue in his pocket just by being associated with moi. So he had a little money going to work. I had to get up early in the morning, drive to the north side, morning traffic, and then he gets off at 5. Y'all know what type of traffic that is at 5 and 6, and definitely coming from the north side. So I began to become irritable. And when I say irritable, I'm going to take the blame for that because I signed myself up for something that I potentially did not want because that was not in my normal routine. When I was just here by myself, I was doing what I wanted as I pleased. Now, my day and how I now navigate my life is shifted because I've added someone else on that I have to accommodate. I got to get you to work. I got to pick you up. I brought you here. So I should be aware of that. That was my fault. I take accountability for that. Stop signing up for stuff that is going to become a problem for you later on because that wasn't how you normally ran your life. And I had to acknowledge that. Um, so just to sum up the beginning, we met on social media. He was talking to me in the midst of me just trying to overcome my pill addiction. He always reached out in the midst of my pill addiction and me just overcoming it. We connected again. He reached out. We started talking on the phone. I liked him. He liked me. He told me everything he had going on at home. I'm good over here. So it's like, come move here. He comes, try to get all his belongings here, try to get his car shipped here, all that. He shipped certain things. His car didn't come here, whatever. Came here, got a job, started working. Now my life has changed because now I gotta make sure that you get back and forth to work, so on and so forth. We set out how much you gonna pay. All I want from you, trying to build you up as a man, so I don't want much. This is what you gonna pay. Cool. Good. It was around the holidays, December. We're in December at this time, and when it got dark, when it got dark, and this is what I mean when I say you got to pay attention to the flags when they are shown. When your subconscious speaks to you that first time, don't brush it off. That was the thought that was telling who you are, what the reality of it was. And so we had a an altercation. Nothing major. I think it was just maybe a debacle back and forth. And in the instance of it, when he was speaking to me, he was in my face, like he was right here, yelling in my face. We hadn't even been together. Maybe he hadn't even been here. Maybe like 3 weeks at that time, but he was in my face. And after it, I said, "You got anger issues, but I ain't think nothing of it. But later that day, I kind of had processed it. I was just like, who communicates that way? Like, who communicates that way? And for a person that's helping you and that's allowing you to have, in some sort, a better life, how could you even do that? So I just brushed it off and said you had anger issues. That was flag. I ain't gonna even say flag number 1. I'm gonna say flag number 4. I'm gonna catch you back up on the other 3 flags that had presented themselves before. So that was flag number 4. I'm just yelling, whatever. Still good, going back and forth, whatever. I'm trying to think what instances happened before. Okay, so the first instance that happened, I don't recall what we got into it for. I do not recall what we were going back and forth about, but I would never forget because it was the first time it had ever happened to me in my life. I would never forget that he grabbed me by my neck up against the wall forcefully. That was the first time that physical, it was just the first time. And even me just being a human, I was able to take myself outside of myself and put myself into his mental. And I was just looking at him in his eyes while he had me by my neck. I was staring him in his soul, even though I didn't see a soul. And I was like, what are you doing? Just like that. What are you doing? He ain't even realized what he was doing. And I don't know what happened in between that, but I remember being pushed on the bed and it was the same thing. This was a couple of days before our Christmas, our lavish, beautiful Christmas dinner that I created. This was a couple of days before that. I had ordered all of those things just to create that memory. I did all that. I had spent so much money and all those things had arrived to the house. And we were just, that incident had happened and I was done. And here me go. Anime, get your gullible country ass out the clouds. You heard what she said? Get your gullible country ass out the clouds. And sometimes we'll let a person feed us anything just because we're that gullible, just because we feel like we need. And that day, I had went and I returned everything that I had brought for our dinner. I was sitting on the couch, returning everything. And I remember him sitting outside on the patio. I could hear his phone conversation. And he was crying. Well, not crying. He was calling his job and telling them that he was going to have to resign, um, so on and so forth. And you could hear the sadness in his voice. And that was pulling on my heartstrings. Not at that time because I didn't know, but me being aware, I knew that that's what it was doing. So he had just left out and he left and he walked out. I didn't know where he went and he came back and he had a bear and a card and something. And I'm still sitting on the couch and he gave me these things and he was just saying that he was sorry, he had fucked up and so on and so forth. And it's like 2 days, 3 days before Christmas. And so I'm feeling this feeling. We was vibing initially. I felt like everything was good. I felt like he made a mistake. He's trying to own up to his mistake. He came and he brought me this bear and these flowers, and he apologized. And I looked at him and I said, if you ever do that to me again, we're done. If you ever do that to me again, we're done. And he promised that wasn't something he was going to do. He promised that he'll never do that again. He apologized. And we went back into our normal, life that I created. And a couple of days after, you seen the beautiful Christmas dinner that I did. But 2-3 days before that, I had just got choked up on the wall. I'm gonna get to explain all that, but he said he would never do it again. I don't even think I'm gonna have to read off these cards no more because it's so vivid. We fast forward, we had a Christmas dinner, and everything is fine. I spend some money for him on Christmas. He spent some money for me on Christmas. Remind you, he was working, he had his fair share of what he had to pay, so on and so forth. And then it was a day that I had to pick him up for work. And I was just irritated. I was just irritated this day. This day I was just irritated. It's me driving in traffic. I just was like, why did I sign up for this? Not him per se, but why did I sign up for doing all of this? And so I was irritated. Pick him up for work, I got an attitude. He normal, I got an attitude. But I had started to question his finances because he had asked me for some money. And I'm like, when you got here, he made about $750 within the first week. He got here, he made about $750, and I feel like I'm telling too much. I feel like I'm telling too much because I don't want this to come up as me assassinating anyone's character. So I'm going to refrain from giving too much detail because that's not the moral of my message. My moral is paying attention to the signs, whatever they are. That's the moral of my message. Pay attention to the signs because they are there. They're there. Stop being so desperate for someone. You really don't know who you're laying next to. You really don't know who you're laying next to. And I'm going to share this. After that first altercation, it happened again. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm not going to be descriptive. It happened again. And that was it for me because you had promised that it wouldn't happen again. But the first sign, which I equate the third sign, I'm not going to tell y'all the first three because I don't want to feel like I'm assassinating his character or who he is. So I'm not even going to dig into the thing that I seen before he even moved here. But when it happened the second time, and he had said that it wouldn't happen again, he promised, I was supposed to take heed to when we were having a normal conversation, and how you chose to respond was right here yelling in my face. But me being a man, I'm not looking at it like that. I'm just looking at it as this is a man expressing himself. Emotionally intelligent people don't express themselves that way. I'm not calling him unemotionally intelligent. I'm just speaking about my emotional intelligence and how I speak. Call a spade a spade. I don't want no smoke. But when it happened, I called the police twice. I had never been in any predicament in my life that I needed a mediator to facilitate something that me and my partner had going on. Never in my life. Never in my life. And that stood out to me. But you know what also stood out to me? My character. Because in every instance that I called the police, I still thought about this individual. I still knew that we don't know what type of officers we would get here. If they're racist, if they don't care about gays or whatever, we don't know who we'll get here. And I don't want that for you. I also don't want the fact that you are in a whole nother state and you will be in jail here. I don't want that for you. I don't want this moment that you have yet to determine what it is for you mentally. I don't want this to be something that you have to remember for the rest of your life because you caught a charge. I was thinking about all of that in that moment. So when I allowed the situation to subside and I de escalated everything, I called back and I canceled the police because I don't want that for you. Even though I know you ain't yourself, I still don't want that for you. And the time that he had to go, it was a non-negotiable. That last time you had to go. I was sitting in the chair rolling up, and we had got into it again, and bro came and choked me up again. The chair fell over. And that was the first time my dog seen aggression because she never barked. She always only barks when someone knocks on the door. She never barked. So she knew something was off. And for me, that was it. You got to go. You got to go. And it was things that I shared personally that meant so much to me that was thrown back in my face. And that's why your mama did. And it was so many things. And this is who I was laying next to. That's all I'm trying to get you to understand, that this is who I was laying next to. This is who I invited in my home because I desired companionship and love so bad. You better start paying attention to the signs and figuring out who you are, because what you choose speaks to who you are mentally. You better start figuring this thing out before you be laying next to a rapist or a serial killer because you desire love so bad. You're going to have to learn how to be alone because your life depends on whether you are alone or whether you are shackled with someone that you are not supposed to be tied with. You're going to have to learn that. And can I be real with you? Both of those altercations made me feel so less than a man in my own home. Even right now, it brings tears to my eyes because I feel like, are you really a man? Like, are you really a man? You invite somebody in your home and you allow them to do this to you and you don't do nothing about it. You don't do nothing about it. Are you really protecting yourself? And then I had to think, a person who has nothing to lose will make you lose everything. So sometimes in the midst of it all, in the heat of an argument, you're going to have to bite your pride when you know they ain't got nothing to lose and you got everything to lose. Because, see, I could have fought. I could have did what I felt when he said, that's why your mama did when he choked me. I could have did all those things. And I would have tore my house up. And I'm left here to replace all this. Or, for instance, if I call the police and yes, this is my house. Yes, you moved here, but we both got bruises. And so when I say I want to press charges, you do the same and they take both of us to jail. Now I've allowed you to bring me to where you are. You don't get to do that. So ultimately, I am a man. Because even when the situation is at my doorstep, I handle it accordingly. And I don't allow my judgment to be skewed because of my emotions and what one could make me feel at that time. That's what this is about. That's what this whole thing is about. The cost that you pay when you allow someone in that you do not know, but the lesson you learn from it. And if it's a repeated cycle, you're not learning a lesson, is why you continue to experience it. My lessons are learned the first time. I don't need a second go for me to understand something. And again, by no means is this video to attack someone. I'm just merely living out my experience. Me going back and just questioning myself. Who was I then? Who am I now? What do I do now versus who I was and what I did at that point? That's all this is about for me. And just sharing this. I would love to have a man-to-man conversation with anyone that I've wronged or anyone who feel like they've wronged me. I would love for you to come sit beside me and us have a dialogue. And let's find some common ground and resolution of I was a fucked up human being at that time in my life, and I'm sorry. I was broken, and I just so happened to encounter you, and I'm sorry. That's all what life is about. Accountability. We're all growing in this thing. So I don't take any of my experiences personal because we all are at some point in our life, and depending on who we encounter, determines how they feel like that they should be treated. And if your treatment is not good enough, that's just a factor in all of this. So this was an experience. It taught me to slow down. It taught me that you know how to be alone. So be alone. You have your standards, so stop wavering them. You have your boundaries, your limitations, your expectations, your requirements. Stop compromising them. You can't save nobody. It also taught you that analyze one's life and see what they're doing in their own personal life. Because if anyone is just able to uproot themselves within a matter of moments to come live with someone that they barely even know, it speaks to what they got going on. It speaks to survival for them. You got to pay attention to these things. I know them now. That's why I'm alone. That's why no one is sitting over there speaking with me. Because most have yet to understand the makeup of life. You have yet to understand. I forgive everyone. And I hope if I've done something to you that you have yet to forgive, come sit and speak with me and let the world see what healing and growing looks like between two adults. Allow that to be the reality. That's my purpose of all this here. That's my purpose of all this here. And I'm going to end this with I extend the olive branch to you. It's all love. Forgiveness is there. I'm even open to hearing things that I could have potentially done wrong, even though I feel like I did anything wrong. But you know, yeah, I'm open to it. It's this life, man. This is life. Like this is life, And unfortunately, you're going to encounter some broken people. This is life. But I take it all on because I love the thought process of different humans' minds. I love that. So I hope you received this message in the way that it definitely was intended to be delivered. I love you. Until next time on Beneath the Surface.